Hello everyone, I'm back from my vacation and I had originally planned to do my next episode of Toy Box Tutorials today, but while I was away, several people reported a problem that they were having with the Radiator Springs Raceway track, and so I'm back in that toy box today because I want to address that problem before I move on to anything new. And the problem has to do with an alternate path that is traveling through the barn over here. Alright, this is what we're talking about, is that whole segment out through there. The dirt track, basically. And some people are reporting that when they try to take the alternate path, the game jumps them back to the main road. And before I do anything else, I kind of want to address the obvious potential solution. Hopefully you followed my build instructions exactly as I laid them out, but just in case you didn't, I want to point out that the racetrack actually continues underneath the barn. And so if you're just building this based on what you saw, and you didn't actually follow the build instructions and just dropped the barn on top of the racetrack, or you decided that since the barn was here, you didn't need this section of track and you took that out, if you don't have this piece of track, it isn't going to work. Because what the game will do is when you leave the road and wander too far away from it, it will jump you back to the road. And so if you took this piece of racetrack out, or you never put it in to begin with, then as soon as you drive through the barn, you're going to be too far away from the road and it will jump you back. So that might be what you're seeing. It may not be. I don't know. I just want to make sure I cover all the bases. But assuming that you have that racetrack piece and that you have followed my build instructions precisely, there is still an issue with this alternate path. And I've got a couple of clips here to show you what I'm seeing on my console. This clip shows how the track should work. And on my console, it does work properly if I stay on the track. As you can see, I'm staying as close as I can to the center of the track, and everything works fine for me. But this is what happens if my wheels leave the track at all. Notice it jumps me back to the track. Usually it jumps me back to the nearest point on the track, but other times it may jump me to an earlier point on the track. But either way, I think this may be the problem that some people are experiencing. I saw this problem too when I built and tested this track, but I didn't think it was a problem. This alternate path is much shorter than the main road, and as you can see, it just goes through the barn and loops and goes over there. But the main road cuts across the toy box through town, goes up the other side all the way out to that corner and around, so it's a much longer path. And even though I've tried to compensate with some speed boost pads, this is still a much shorter path. And I left it that way on purpose, even though this problem is in here, because I didn't think it was a bad problem because it does help balance the game. What it does is it makes this shortcut risky. If you're going to take the shortcut, you need to drive it perfectly to avoid this jumping problem. Otherwise, the shortcut will end up costing you time than saving you time. Now, why is this happening? Well, normally the game is fairly flexible, as I said earlier, and it will allow you to leave the track for a short distance before it jumps you back to the track. But in this case, it doesn't give you much flexibility, and I think it's because of the way the track is structured. Both the main road and the alternate path end up turning and going back in the opposite direction towards where I split it. And I did that because it has to come that way in order to go back through town. But I think that messes it up. And again, I don't know that for sure, but I think that's what's actually happening here. So what can we do about it? Well, I tried various alternatives in an effort to eliminate the problem, or at least minimize the chances of it happening. I tried rerouting the alternate path so that it doesn't curve back on itself, but that didn't fix it. I also tried using a wider racetrack around the turn, hoping that would be more forgiving, but this actually made it worse for me on my console. It would jump me even when I was still in the middle of the track, and that's definitely a problem. And maybe that's what's happening for some of you on this original track. Unfortunately, I could not find any way to eliminate this problem, except to remove the alternate path entirely, which breaks my heart, but if you're running into that problem, that's the only thing I can recommend, is taking this piece out and replacing it with just a straightaway, removing all of the dirt track pieces, and then removing this little branch over here where you rejoin the main road and replace that with a straight section. That's the only thing I found that can actually fix the problem. But then again, you lose the alternate path when you do that. For some of you, that might be what you have to do. I wish I had a better answer for you, but I don't. But if the original track design is working for you the way it is for me, and it isn't doing any weird jumping behavior unless your wheels leave the track, then I would recommend leaving the track alone. Again, it makes the decision to take the shortcut a risky one because you have to drive it precisely, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Hopefully this episode helps you at least understand the problem, even if it doesn't provide a good solution other than to remove the alternate path. If you're seeing a different issue than I've shown here in this video, please leave a comment and let me know. I'll try to help you troubleshoot it if I can. And as always, be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already. That's all for me today. I'll be back on Monday to continue my Age of Ultron series, and Toy Box tutorials will resume next Friday. Have a great weekend.